with that said, on to our final topic here. On to our final topic, and that is Darkwing Duck's 30th anniversary is this month. That's right. It's this year, and most importantly, it's this month. And I can tell you this honestly, my older sister loved Darkwing Duck when he came out. It was like one of the shows she enjoyed, she loved. She got me basically both volume one and two of the DVD sets for Christmas one year, which I already had before that. So got two of them, two each, if you will. So she got me those, and then of course before that, I ended up getting through a mail order. Actually, was it mail order or was it at Hastings store? I can't remember. It might have been at the Hastings store. I'm not really sure. But I ended up buying the Darkly Dawns the Duck VHS, the uncut pilot, if you will, in its entirety on the VHS. I ended up buying that, and it had the stickers and everything. Actually, it was online. Yeah, it was online because it had the stickers and everything still connected to it, the trading card and everything, which was really cool. And the show overall, I thought was good. It was obviously a parody of superheroes. It took inspiration from Batman and Darkman. Let's be honest, Darkwing Duck, Darkman. I think we can put those two together. But it did take some heavy influence from Batman. But what it was, Darkwing Duck, was basically, as a lot of people pointed out, was a parody. It was a parody of the superhero genre. Because one thing a lot of people would joke about with superheroes is how much of an ego they could have. Sometimes they don't have an ego and they're just there to, do what's right, do the job and that's it, and not ask for anything in return. Disney, they decided, you know what? We're going to turn that concept on its ear. We're going to turn that concept on its ear, and we're going to make Darkwing Duck the opposite of what a superhero is. Like, he's a superhero, he does the right thing, but unlike other superheroes, like a Batman and a Superman or whatever, who don't care about the fame and the fortune, he wants to do it for the fame. He wants to do it for the fortune until he gets reality knocked upside his head. And that's a great concept. That is a great concept, if you will. So to me, with all that, you take all those elements and you merge it together into this concept of a show. You got yourself a winner. You got yourself a winner, in my opinion. And obviously Disney thought the same thing, because within the same year that the Darkwing Duck debuted on the Disney Afternoon, it debuted on ABC. Yeah. And what's interesting is both airings were looked at as separate seasons, even though they came out the same year. Because you had the syndicated episodes and you had the Saturday morning episodes. And what made them different is you can kind of tell that the animation made them different. The animation was a little bit different, because it seemed that with the Saturday morning presentation of some of the Disney afternoon shows, because Darkwing Duck wasn't alone in this, the animation seemed a little bit more fluid, a little bit more brighter. And the adventures, the story seemed a little bit more fantastical, if you kind of get what I'm saying. So you had that, going on, if you will. You have basically, two airings, but again, they were treated like two different seasons. You had them treated like they were two different seasons, and it was fun. It was fun to watch, because you didn't just get Darkwing Duck Monday through Friday. You got a Monday through Saturday, except unlike, Monday through Friday on the Disney Afternoon, where you had to go into syndication and find a station that had Disney Afternoon on it to watch him. All you had to do on Saturday mornings was go to ABC. Because like I said, it wasn't the only show that did this. Goof Troop did it the year after. Aladdin did it 2 years later, if you will. 101 Dalmatians, the series, did it. Mighty Ducks did it. Gargoyles for a time did it. Gummy Bears for a time did it. This is nothing new. But this was a unique way for them to separate, I guess you could say, the seasons, being shown simultaneously at the same time. And I do apologize for a little bit of a pause I just had moments ago. I was trying to think about what I was going to say. But yeah, it was an interesting concept for them to do. And it's one that I think a lot of shows should really consider doing even today in cable format, if you know what I mean. In cable format, I think they should consider it. And I think they do it, but not as much. But overall, it was an interesting time to be a fan, because you had, like I said, you had two separate seasons on simultaneously at the same time, and you'll also tell the difference between the two, because the Saturday morning one seemed to be more fantastical, more fantasy-like, if not a bit darker at times, but a little bit more fantasy-like compared to the grounded at times, at most times, Darkwing Duck episodes in syndication, and the colors were more brighter and the animation was a little bit more fluid. Which obviously, if you're gonna have a show on Saturday mornings, you want to make it a little bit more presentable for the viewers. So I thought that was good. I thought that was really good. And some of the episodes they had were great. I mean, the pilot was great, uncut or not. It was good. If you will. Yeah, I'm gonna get into that in a moment. Mecha from the '80s. And by the way, guys, super chats are on if you want to donate, and check out my Teespring store. The link you should see some advertisements below, if you will, while you're watching this. But check out my Teespring store as well. But anyway, like I said, what was I saying? Oh yeah, they had some good episodes, like Darkly Dawns the Duck, uncut or edited a bit. I thought was good. The one I liked the most, for some odd reason, because it was you didn't expect them to go this route out, was Slime Okay, You're Okay. I thought that was a good episode because you had Garth. Because here was the thing: this episode, obviously, it aired later on because it wasn't part of any of the initial volumes that came out. But you had Goslin get mutated temporarily into this slime creature by this plant formula that Bushroot had created to try to get himself a companion. And because she got infected by it, not only did she become like a slime girl, an elastic slime girl, whatever you want to call it, but she was, of course, story-wise, she was slowly losing her sanity. She was becoming hungrier, and by becoming hungrier and everything, she was starting to lose a little bit more sanity and all that. And I like the fact that in that episode, she's the one that just wanted to go back to having a normal life. But Darkwing, of course, again, as we mentioned, him being a parody of superheroes, wanted to look at the ego and the fame. And then, again, reality had to hit him upside the head, if you will, to, to wake him up about what was going on, about the situation. And again, it was a fun episode. I mean, the fact that you had Goslin go all the way up to, basically get reduced to nothing more than just like a pool, if you will, that was sucked into this thing by Bushroot. And, when Launchpad gets sucked in there by accident and he splashes into her, she looks at him and go like, "You friend?" Because, she doesn't know anymore. Her mind's gone. So, so it was really interesting, a really interesting concept that they did with this. And I'm hoping that if we get a Darkwing Duck series out of this reboot that Seth Green wants to do, that I think they need to revisit that. I thought that was a great episode. I thought it was a fun episode. And what's funny is you have what's his name, Cronin, who does these artworks, if you will, on DeviantArt and Patreon, of girls turning into different things, like different versions of themselves. And he had one of Goslin going back to being, as she called herself, Yucky Duck. And then Daisy from Quack Pack, the Daisy Duck from Quack Pack, because she loved the Tasty Paste, getting infected by that and becoming a Yucky Duck herself. And then, he had them fused together, merged together into one big Yucky Duck. So, you look at someone like that and you have to really, and honestly, you have to think to yourself, wait a minute, why didn't they do that with Quack Pack anyway? They had a good character in Daisy to do it with. but obviously they didn't. But anyway, getting back on topic. Again, I thought the episode was good, and hopefully if they do a continuation of not a continuation, but if they do a reboot series after this Darkwing Duck project of Seth's, is done, maybe they'll go back and revisit it. Who knows? Maybe they'll go back and revisit it, and I think it'd be great if they did. Now, Mecca from the '80s mentioned something that basically the original series, the original concept was it was going to be a James Bond parody called Double O Duck, which is named after an episode from the original DuckTales run where Launchpad became a super agent. He became a Double O agent. And the original series was supposed to, and the original concept was going to take inspiration from that. And basically, Launchpad was going to be the main star. He was going to be a secret agent. But when that got basically pulled, if you will, you're basically given the no-go, if you will, they went with the Darkwing Duck idea, and the rest is history. The rest is history. But yeah, they had some great episodes. Like I said, Slime OK, Your OK is one of my favorites. I mean, I love the fact that when they try to, one of the first attempts they tried to restore Goslin, they basically zap her to all these little Goslins and all that, and everything. So it's fun. It's a fun episode. That's all I'm going to say on that. It's a fun episode. I like the two-part Justice Ducks, if you will. I love that. Again, it's another one of those episodes where Darkwing in the first part lets his ego get the best of him, and the reality knock him upside the head, and he has to go, save his friends, his allies, and I love the part at the beginning where he's trying to get all the glory, and everybody that accidentally helps him, or basically, when I would, I would say accidentally helps him, unintentionally helps him. Basically what they do is he gets pounded up, beaten up a lot, and he always has this saying after he gets hurt in that first part. It's like, "This is the most painful moment of my life." And then I think one time he even says immediately after that, when the Stegosaurus, Steggy, pulls him up, he says, "Well, what was the second most painful?" And he's like, and Darkwing's like, "Put out the Darkwing, put out the Darkwing." It's like, oh, Jim Cummings, I'll give him credit, did a good job there with Darkwing. And then of course Neptunia, when she does what he does when she does what she does to him, and he's like, "This is the third most painful moment of my life." So it's just so funny, and it's a great series, and I wish they would have done more with it. Honestly, I really do. In fact, I think they did have plans to do a movie, but because of the failure of the DuckTales movie here, North America wise, it just didn't fly. And honestly, I think the bombing of the movie at the box office of that movie here in the States and in Canada and all that, unlike in the UK loved DuckTales the movie, but because of what happened here, again it was a no-go, and it basically shelved indefinitely. Excuse me, a lot of future Disney Afternoon theatrical movie projects, for a time. I mean, the original plan was you're going to do a DuckTales movie, a Rescue Rangers movie, another one or two DuckTales movie, a Darkwing Duck movie, a Tailspin movie, I think. I think they were just going to, if things had gone the way they wanted them to, they were going to go in these different directions with, not different directions, but, they were going to go, in these different directions, if you will, when it came to the movies. They were going to do one based on Rescue Rangers. They were going to do one based on Tailspin, like I said, one based on, more DuckTales, if you will. They might have considered doing one for Gummy Bears. Who knows? They had these plans, but because of, and as well as Darkwing, that's what I was going to say. The Darkwing one, but because of the fact that the DuckTales Treasure of the Lost Lamp didn't do so well box office wise here in the States, and internationally not as well as they would hope, except for certain areas like the UK and other places. Again, as I mentioned, that shelved any potential ideas for future Disney Afternoon theatrical movies. And it wouldn't be until 1995 1995, if you will, that we'd get another Disney afternoon movie, Goofy, which was a Goofy movie based off Goof Troop, or at least loosely based off Goof Troop, if you will. I mean, even Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, says, "Yeah, we're talking Goof Troop the movie, if you will." When he did it, when he talked about it during his Disney December month-long review series that he does every year, he says, "Hey, we're talking about Goof Troop the movie." So, yeah, it wouldn't be until 1995 we'd get another Disney afternoon inspired movie with Goofy movie. And then it would be another 4 years after that till we get another movie based on a series that, was part of Disney for a time, and that's Doug, or called Brand Spanking New Doug, with Doug's first movie. And then a couple of years later, we got Recess School's Out, which I did see in theaters because I thought the Recess series was good, so I wanted to see the movie. And then, of course, you had Teacher's Pet. So what Disney obviously did is they just bided their time for a while. They're like, okay, we're going to do one once in a while and see how people react to it. And if one was okay, did decently in the box office, they came back with another one a few years later. So obviously, though, because of the original intention with the DuckTales movie, it just, didn't happen. The original intention to, be the first, stepping stone towards, I guess you could say, I wouldn't initially say cinematic universe, but kind of a cinematic universe or whatever, or a non-cinematic universe, because of the flop of that movie, any potential plans for that to happen went out the window. They got shelved. But honestly, if they would have done a Darkwing Duck movie, that would have been a hit. Honestly, that would have been a hit with folks, because Darkwing Duck was a big deal. He was still popular when Goof Troop came around, and people, from a ratings perspective, they loved Goof Troop, but they loved Darkwing Duck more. And you know what's funny? Tad Stones, who did Darkwing Duck, who did Rescue Rangers, teased the fact, and we never got it, teased the fact at the end of one episode of bringing in the Rescue Rangers. That is a fact. You know why? Because basically this is, I don't know, what is it, this helmet or something that they use to go to listen in on other realities or get zapped into other realities. And at the end of it, you see these human characters. You see these human characters that would show up every now and then to kind of give off the illusion of, Darkwing Duck's a show, but it's, in another dimension. So it was all kind of confusing at times. So you have this invention that they made that could look into other dimensions. Well, this invention they made to look into other dimensions. And at the end, or listen in as well, and at the end, you have the assistant listening in on something coming in from another dimension, and you hear Chip's voice, you hear Monterey Jack's voice, and then you hear all the voices going, "Rescue Rangers away." And the guy's like, "Rescue Rangers, now that's a show that could sell." And to me, it's like, you're teasing a Rescue Rangers Darkwing Duck crossover? Why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? You did it with Bonkers, in a dream state, if you will. But you did it with Bonkers. Why not Rescue Rangers? Can you imagine the viewership that episode would have got if they would have done it? A lot. And people were talking about that episode. I think that was a Saturday morning episode too. People were talking about it. They were talking about the potential of, oh my God, Rescue Rangers and Darkwing Duck together? Sign me up. Take my money kind of deal. But it just shows you again how popular Darkwing Duck was, with the fact that they teased the idea of the Rescue Rangers crossing over just with that. Shows how popular and how confident Disney had, the confidence, I should say, that Disney had in this show. But unfortunately, it never got the proper due, the proper due it was due, the proper send off it was due, the proper conclusion. It didn't, anything like that. It didn't have any of that. But I thought it was good. I thought like anybody else, it was a good show. I'm glad they brought Darkwing Duck back. In the new DuckTales series, I like the idea that they revamped it. They revamped it to the point that you get these cliffhangers for a potential Darkwing Duck series in the future. I mean, the fact that they tell the story of the original, Darkwing Duck going mad, if you will, and being replaced and all that, and thus becoming Negaduck, if you will, as a result. And it's just unbelievable the great job that they did there. I mean, because you still kept a little bit of the ego-ness kind of growing in Drake, in this version of Drake. Thought that was great. I love the fact that when Gosling was brought in, she wasn't just a rebellious teenager like she is somewhat in the original, but she's also a kind of a genius. I love that. I love that they did that. So overall, Darkwing Duck, I definitely has a great legacy, and I'm glad that they brought him back for the DuckTales series. I'm glad. I think it was Seth Green and Seth Rogen is doing something with him for Disney, and I'm glad that the potential opening up for a Darkwing Duck reboot in the future. I really do. But yeah, 30 years. I'm really happy about it. I'm happy. This show still has a fan base, and can't can't wait to see what we get out of this. See if maybe Disney talks about more of the Darkwing Duck project that's going on, and let's just go from there with it. But anyway, though.